So, we need to talk about how you protect your wealth when all the old rules are being completely ripped up. Something really big is coming in 2026, and it's going to change everything. This is your guide to what's happening and, more importantly, how you can get ready. Let's dive right in. You remember this, right? For generations, just the phrase Swiss account meant one thing: total privacy, rock solid security. It was the gold standard. Our parents, our grandparents, they had this deep, unspoken trust in the system. It wasn't just a bank account, it was a fortress. Well, that whole era, that guarantee, it's gone.
I mean, what we're really witnessing here is the end of an era. The traditions of financial secrecy that stood solid for more than 100 years, they've been taken apart. And this isn't some small policy change. This is a massive, seismic shift in the way the world of finance works. And it all comes down to one new law. And this is it. It's called the LETA Law. After years and years of global pressure for more transparency, Switzerland finally put this into place. Starting in 2026, it forces the disclosure of the ultimate beneficial owner. That's the real person, the actual human being who owns or controls a company, and registers them in a central federal database. You know those secret shareholder lists that were tucked away in lawyers' safes? Yeah, they're now going to be part of a digital, transparent network. The age of hiding behind a corporate shield in Switzerland is officially over. Okay, so for a lot of people, this feels like a total crisis. The first thought is, well, is Switzerland done for as a safe place for money? But I want you to think about it differently. What if this huge change is actually a trigger, an opportunity that forces all of us to think smarter, to be more strategic, and to build stronger ways of protecting wealth that don't depend on secrecy, but on intelligence? So, while the old world of Swiss secrecy is falling apart, a really powerful and practical new strategy is showing up, and it's coming from the north. It's a quiet but major move from one of the world's biggest financial players, and it gives us a really clear blueprint for the future. We are talking about Norway's Sovereign Wealth Fund. This thing is a giant, managing $1.7 trillion. When a fund this big decides to change direction, you better believe the rest of the world sits up and pays attention. And for their 2026-2028 strategy, they are making a huge pivot away from the traditional stuff and into something completely different. Their new thinking is actually pretty simple. The old way was all about abstract things, right? Stocks, bonds, basically just numbers on a computer screen. The new way is all about real assets, tangible, physical things that the world actually needs to function. It's a move away from betting on market psychology and a move toward owning the actual pillars of the economy. So what exactly are these real assets? Well, they're the physical nuts and bolts of the modern world. Think about it. Battery storage facilities for electric cars, huge solar and wind farms for the energy transition, logistics hubs that make e-commerce possible, and the data centers that literally run our digital lives. The lesson from Norway is clear. Financial markets go up and down, but our need for energy, for shipping, and for data, that's not going anywhere. Now, let's zoom out and look at the even bigger picture here, because this whole strategic shift is happening at a really critical time. We are right on the edge of what some people are calling the Great Wealth Transfer. I like to call it the Great Reckoning. And the amount of money at stake is, well, it's almost hard to comprehend. Just look at that number, $80 trillion. Let that sink in for a second. That is the estimated wealth that the baby boomer generation created. And right now, it's starting to be passed down to their kids and grandkids. We are living through the single largest transfer of wealth in all of human history. But here's the cold, hard truth. This incredible inheritance isn't being passed into the same world where it was built. Not even close. The era of quiet wealth is over. That $80 trillion fortune, if it's not managed with a modern game plan, is incredibly vulnerable. It's like a giant block of ice that's been left out in the sun, exposed to all these new, powerful forces that could just melt it away with shocking speed. And these are the forces melting that ice. You've got persistent inflation, which is like a silent tax that just eats away at the value of your money. You've got new global minimum tax rules that are closing all the old loopholes. And, of course, total financial transparency, which makes every asset visible and, frankly, vulnerable. But you know what the biggest risk of all is? Trying to protect 21st century wealth with 20th century thinking. So, what's the move? We don't panic, we get smarter. It's time to build a new kind of defense system, a modern suit of armor for your assets. I call it the hybrid protection strategy, and it's designed specifically for this new, totally transparent world we're living in. This hybrid strategy is built on 4 key pillars. First, physical security. Look, Swiss financial privacy is gone, but their high-tech vaults built into mountains, they're still the best and safest places in the world for physical assets like gold. Second, real assets. Just follow the Norway model. Invest in that essential infrastructure. Third, a smart corporate structure. The goal isn't to hide anymore. It's to legally structure your assets with trusts and holding companies for protection and tax efficiency. And number 4, diversification. You have to spread your assets across different countries, different asset types, and different currencies. But a truly modern suit of armor needs one more element, a forward-looking one, because diversifying today means looking beyond the traditional stuff, which brings us to the growing role of digital assets. Now, let's be clear. This is not about gambling on some speculative crypto coin. It's about recognizing that new technologies like blockchain and asset tokenization, which is just a fancy way of saying turning real-world assets into digital tokens, are becoming a real part of our financial system. A smart strategy involves a small, long-term allocation, maybe around 5 to 10%, to this space. You should think of it as future-proofing your portfolio, not as a lottery ticket. All right, let's start to wrap this all up. The main takeaway from everything we've talked about today really shouldn't be fear. It should be awareness. The world has changed, yes, but with change always comes opportunity. For those who are prepared, for those who are strategic, and for those who see evolution instead of just seeing a threat. And please remember, you do not have to navigate this new world all by yourself. Modern wealth protection is a team sport. Having an international tax advisor, an asset manager who really understands real assets, and a trusted legal team. These are no longer luxuries for the rich. They are absolute necessities for anyone serious about this. And finally, always keep this in mind. Building and protecting wealth in this new era, it takes patience. It takes a long-term view. Making quick, panicked decisions based on fear is your worst enemy. Success will come from patient, well-planned, and strategic actions. It truly is a marathon, not a sprint. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. The decades ahead aren't just going to favor people who adapt to change. They're going to favor the people who learn to wear change like a suit of armor, using transparency, new types of assets, and global shifts to their advantage. The rules of the game have been rewritten. The only question is, which side of that new reality do you want to be on?